Let's talk about the truth about tape and weft hair extensions and common mistakes that can cause damage. Hi everyone, my name is Sam, and if you have been researching tape and weft hair extensions, you've probably noticed that everyone seems to have a different way of installing them. The problem is, not every technique you see online is correct. So, over the last few months, we've watched countless videos from stylists teaching tape and wefts, and unfortunately, I've seen a lot of misinformation being shared. Some of these methods can create unnecessary tension, poor weight distribution, and in some cases, even lead to damage to your client's natural hair. So, today I wanted to make this video to clear up the confusion. I'll be covering the pros and cons of tape and weft hair extensions, the correct way to install them, the biggest installation mistakes we see online, why weight distribution is so important, why I recommend using single-sided tape, and how to keep your client's natural hair healthy whilst achieving a beautiful result. Whether you're new to extensions or already an experienced stylist, this video will help you understand not just how to install tape and wefts, but why each step matters. So let's get started. Let's take a second to talk exactly about what a tape and weft is. So what makes a tape and weft different from traditional tape-ins is the fact that it is a weft. So let me open this up, because if you've worked with traditional tape-ins before, you'll know that they come as small individual pieces. However, with your tape and weft, it's going to come like this. It's literally a weft, except it's a tape. So it's a tape weft. So I love these because if you don't know how to install weft hair extensions with the beaded foundation, but you do know how to install tapes, then that way you're able to install this easily on your clients and still achieve a really nice, flat and comfortable look for them. So when is this a good option? So a tape and weft is going to be a really good option for clients who love the comfortability and the flatness of a tape, but want more of that full solid coverage of a weft. As we know, tapes offer full coverage. However, the fullest coverage is always going to be a weft. So by combining that tape and that weft together, you're kind of marrying the best of both worlds together, because you're getting that really, really flat install. So this tape weft would be a really great option for someone that likes their extensions to lay super duper flat, and maybe even people with finer hair as well, because you can see you're able to double this up like a sandwich, or you could even install it as a single-sided tape weft. That way you're able to offer versatility depending on your client's natural density. Another thing that I know you're going to ask me is, what type of clients are not good for that tape and weft? I would say if someone has really, really fine, fragile hair, this might be a little bit too heavy for them. Another person who it might not be suitable for is someone that works out a lot. Maybe they have a really oily scalp, they're heavy sweaters. This for them is going to be problematic because they're going to have a lot of slipping, and that residue is going to be really, really sticky, and it's just not going to be the greatest option. If someone was a person that worked out a lot, sweat a lot, etc., I'd probably prefer to go for a traditional weft where we're doing that beaded foundation. If you don't know how to install a weft with beads, definitely check out my other videos, because I have a ton of tutorials on those wefts, whether it is a genius weft or a hand tied, a volume weft. I have lots of weft tutorials. However, stick around. If you are comfortable using those beads, this is going to be a great option for you. Let's get into the install of our tape and wefts. And I do want to preface before we go into it that I will be showing you a technique that I think is going to be safe for the hair, and that also is tried and true. It's something that I use on a lot of clients, and I've seen really positive results with it. When I was looking online at videos of people installing them, I saw so many fantastic tutorials, but I did see some ones that I was a little bit like, oh, I don't know if that's going to be great. For example, with these, the way that you install them is so different to your traditional weft. You can't do these exaggerated scoops with this because of the way it's constructed. It If you were to do that, you're going to have a lot of buckling happening, and it's also going to ripple. That way it will cause a lot of hot spots and then uneven tension, weight distribution, and it's all the kind of things that we don't want within our extension installs. These tape-in wefts are not going to be as flexible as a Genius weft or a hand-tied. So for that reason, we have to install them like we would our tape extensions. So by that, I mean straight lines and maybe ever so slightly angle it when you get to the front. But again, we're thinking about how to keep it safe for our client and avoid any sort of tension and hot spots. So let's get into the install now. And I'm going to show you a few different ways to install them and why I like to work with single-sided tape when I'm installing these tape-in wefts as opposed to doubling them up. Before we get into the install, I just wanted to say thank you so much for you guys for being here. I see you all in my comments time and time again, and I really appreciate you guys' support. If you want more in-depth education, don't forget I also have a private members page on here. On there, you can subscribe monthly and it's going to give you access to exclusive content catered to you guys. I have a question box where you can ask me questions and I reply and make videos in live time. I upload on there regularly, and again, like I said, it is all catered to you guys. Feedback, questions, things that you need help with. So definitely check it out. All right, let's get into the install. I'm really excited about this. So I'm sectioning off my mannequin head. If you've seen my previous video where it's those tape-ins, standard tape-in installation, the way I'm sectioning is going to be pretty much very similar to that. So my first tape-in weft, I'm going to do here at the nape in a straight line. And that's exactly how I would do it for my normal tape install. All right, so I've sectioned out my first section. Let's get into the install. I'm gonna have another camera doing some really good shots for you guys. I know that a few of you have mentioned that my hands are blocking the view. Sometimes you don't get a great view. So I'm really making the effort to try and make sure that you can see every single movement. So it's a really clear install for you guys. So I'm gonna take my piece of weft here and I wanna hold it against my client's hair and measure out where I want it to be. So always making sure that you're keeping about an inch away from here. So these areas here, you want to make sure that there's enough hair to cover that tape-in weft when they wear their hair up. So I usually leave about an inch away from the hairline. So once I'm happy with how that's looking, I'm going to just trim that. So I'm going to take my little Fiskars. These I've got linked in my Amazon storefront. I absolutely love them. And let's just do a straight line all the way across. Something I'm going to do as well to make it comfortable for the client is I'm just going to curve those corners so they're not perfectly straight. That way, again, it's just thinking about how comfortable it can be for the client. You don't want any sharp corners digging into their scalp. So now I like to do a top first placement. This is where we place the tape-in weft on top and then we flip it up. I think this is a great way to install them. However, if you are worried about that, you can section off the hair like this, and then you can go and put your weft under and then your weft on top. However, I'm going to be doing single-sided because I personally feel that single-sided is what's going to work the most effective with these, just because of how heavy they are. I don't want to put that much weight on my client's hair. If they have kind of like medium to fine hair, I feel more comfortable working with single-sided tapes rather than if they have really thick hair or a higher density, then you could probably double up the tape weft. Also, always bear in mind the gram weight of them as well. A lot of the time your tape wefts are heavier than your traditional tape-ins. So now I'm going to peel off that tape and then I'm going to put it on the head, and I'm making sure that I drop down enough to allow for really nice movement. I never want to place this weft at the part line there. Otherwise, you're going to have a lot of problems with tension and it feeling too tight. I'm just going to press that into place. If there's any little hairs I don't want in there, I'm just gonna take them out the way, make sure everything's nice and clean. Then I'm just gonna pinch the end of this tape weft and just flip that up. Then I'll just make sure that everything is where I want it to be, and I've picked up enough of that natural hair. I can see it's really nice and clean, making sure if there's any little hairs there that I don't want, I'll just take them out the way. But that subsection looks really clean. So now I'm going to take my single-sided tape and I'll put this underneath here. So let's talk about the single-sided tape. Traditionally, with your taping extensions, you're going to use double-sided tape, and double-sided tape is so that you could peel it off on both sides, so it's sticky both sides, and then that way, that's when you're sandwiching. However, I'm not sandwiching these. Just where I feel like they're really heavy, I prefer to use that single-sided tape, and this you just put directly underneath. So instead of a tape sandwich here, you're going to do the single-sided tape. So I'm just going to measure out how much I need, and then trim off, and then I'm just going to peel this off here, so that then exposes that sticky side. So that is the sticky side of the single-sided tape. I'm not going to do it all at once just because it's a long bit, so I will just do it a little by little. So let's start by putting this little edge on here, and I'll just peel off the backing little by little to make sure that it is nice and neat and I don't have any bubbles or air pockets in there. And I'm not going to press here because I don't want to cause elevation. I'm actually going to flip it down and then I'll press it into place. So let's flip this down and then I will press that into place. So I'm going to come in now with these. These are from L Pro. My discount code is going to be SamHines10. And then I'm just going to use these to pinch and secure that tape weft. So can you see this little bit here? It's just a bit exposed. So I don't need that in there. So I'm just going to trim off that little piece there. Now let's flip this up and take a look. Lovely. Nice and clean. Everything's locked into place. Everything's nice and even and it feels comfortable. I know it's a mannequin head, but it's got really nice fluid up down movement, and I'm not seeing any buckling or bubbling or anything that looks like it's rippling. I feel like this is going to grow out really, really nice and clean. If you're looking for a full placement of this, I will be uploading it on my subscription page. So I'll upload a head chart with the exact placement. With my tape and wefts, usually I'm going to be doing about 3 to 4 rows. So I have that row at the nape. Then I would have another straight row above the one at the nape going here to the top of the ear. Then I would have a longer one going round. And then I'd start to fill the sides where I feel like I need it. The nice thing about this is it's more visual, but usually, like I said, I'm going to be doing about 4 rows with the tape and weft. So now let me show you guys how I'm going to do it through the sides and how I use a little bit of an angle to get that really nice coverage that elongates down into the bang area. So on a real person, you're going to have a section that comes round here. So it will go all the way round and then round to the other side. And that's going to be about 1 inch above the ear. And then what I'm going to do is a little section here where I can achieve some coverage a little bit higher. These are really flat, which I like. It's not bulky like your standard wefts that you might see. So working here, I can then create a piece that's going to elongate down and fill in that bang area. Remember though, you want to make sure that you're mindful of how they part their hair, and also you don't want to come up too high so that it shows, or even too close to the hairline. So I'm taking a very small angle. I don't want to make it too exaggerated, otherwise you're going to get hot spots in the corners. So as you can see, this section now begins to work higher up and into this area here. And this is going to sit now about 2 inches above from the ear. So I'm going to do exactly what I did before, where I'm making sure it's about 1 inch away from here. And then I'm going to just angle it down slightly and then mark out how long or short I want it to be. I don't want to go too further back because when the hair splits in that area, you're going to see that weft. So here is going to be the perfect little spot for that tape weft. So now I'm going to trim off the excess. I'm going to do what I did before and I'll show you how I round out those corners. And I do this so that it's comfortable. We don't want any of these little sharp edges digging into the client. There we go. So comfortable. Now let's peel off our adhesive. A little bit of ASMR. And then I'm going to go in and adhere this piece to the head. Again, making sure I did what I did before, where I'm dropping down enough so that I have nice, comfortable movement. And before I press down, if there's any little hairs like this, I'm just going to move them out of the way. We don't want any crosshairs in that install. And then I can press that piece down into place, making sure that I'm picking up all the hair in there to support the weight of this weft. You can see even with this piece, look at that coverage that it's given you. It's actually amazing how much coverage you get with these tape wefts. I think that's like the biggest takeaway and the biggest pro is the coverage you get is literally the same as a weft. Once I'm happy, I'm just gonna pinch the end and just flip up. And you can see all of the hair is coming with it. And then just with the back of my comb, I'm gonna make sure that I've got every little hair in there adhered. And if there's any little rogue crosshairs, I'm just going to gently use my comb to take them out because I want this to be clean. The cleaner your section and your subsection, the more comfortable the install is going to be and the more even it's going to feel all the way around. You don't want any uneven weight distribution. You want to keep it as even as possible. Weight distribution is so important with extensions. Honestly, with every single method, it's number one. And damage happens when there's uneven weight distribution. For example, if there's too much weight holding all of that weft, it's going to cause hot spots. Once I'm happy with that, now I'm going to take my single-sided tape and do exactly what I did before. I'm just going to measure out where I want it to be, and then I can just trim off the excess. So let's peel off the backing, and we'll just do it slowly but surely. So I'll peel off a little bit like that, and that way I can just stagger this on. And then I'll flip that down and then press that down into place to lock it all in. There's a little bit of excess here, so I can trim that off, making sure I'm not cutting any of the natural hair. And then I'll go in with my press and then just press this down into place, making sure it's all nice and secure. Let's check on the movement. And we've got nice up-down movement. Feels comfortable. And let's do the ponytail check. Perfect. I wasn't sure if I should show like the double-sided way where you do a tape on top and a tape underneath. And I was like to my husband, oh, should I quickly show it? He was like, no, I don't think you should. I don't think anyone should be installing them like that. So even my husband, from when we were watching the videos together, saw how heavy that was when you double them up. Obviously, it depends on gram weight. I'm sure brand by brand, everyone's gram weight per weft piece is going to be different. But the ones that I was seeing were really, really heavy. That's why I was like, I feel more comfortable installing it as a single-sided tape. So that kind of was like a quick little insight into that tape and weft world, and just kind of some pointers of how to install them, and more so of the educational tips behind it. If you guys like this and you would like to see a more in-depth tutorial, then that's something that I'll make next for you if you want to see a full head of them. And like I mentioned earlier, I will be uploading a head chart for this where I show you on that head chart how I would install it on a real person. All right, guys, I hope this video helped clear up some of the confusion surrounding tape and weft hair extensions. My goal isn't to criticize anyone. I simply just want to help educate stylists so that they can create beautiful results while protecting their clients' natural hair. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so that you never miss one of our weekly hair extension tutorials. And I mentioned it earlier, if you're looking for more advanced education, be sure to join my Sam Hair YouTube membership, where I share exclusive in-depth tutorials, advanced techniques, troubleshooting videos, educational content that's not available on this public channel, and honestly so much more. You can also find everything linked in my Amazon storefront down below, and I also have my Instagram page, Sam Hair, where I share lots of tips and tricks, and on TikTok I am Extensionist LA. Don't forget, if you're buying anything from El Pro or Hair Made Easy, you can use my discount code SamHines10 and you will save 10% off your entire order. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. This was really fun to make, actually. I love tape-ins. I always have, always will. So it's really nice to see that that tape-in has evolved into that tape and weft, and it was fun and easy and actually so quick to install. And like I said, if you like this, please leave me a comment down below if you want to see a full tutorial on the tape and weft next. Bye, guys, and I will see you in the next video. That's a wrap. That's a wrap.